Imagine this: you walk into a room and notice the lights flickering. Your partner insists, "Those lights never flickered, you're imagining things." Over time, you start to doubt yourself. What you thought you saw with your own eyes, you now question. This is gaslighting, a manipulative dance that twists your reality into knots. Gaslighting comes from the 1938 play Gaslight, where a husband systematically convinces his wife she's losing her mind. He dims the gaslights and then denies it, making her question her own sanity. Today, survivors describe gaslighting as a constant fog of confusion, a relentless whisper that makes them feel broken, crazy, or even the cause of the abuse. But let's be clear, gaslighting is not your fault. It's a calculated form of psychological manipulation where someone makes you question your perceptions and memory. The gaslighter twists facts, denies events, and insists you're too sensitive or forgetful, until you begin to believe them. As one neuroscientist puts it, real gaslighting is a calculated effort to distort reality until a person begins to distrust their own mind. The Business Standard explains, gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which a person makes someone else question their perception of reality, denying events, twisting facts, or suggesting that the target is imagining things. Over time, the victim may feel confused, anxious, and unable to trust their own judgment. Medical experts agree, gaslighting causes victims to question their sanity, memories, and experiences. This isn't about an occasional lie, it's repeated, systematic abuse. Each denial chips away at your confidence. In an abusive relationship, for example, a partner might insist, "I never said that," or "That's not what happened." You're remembering it wrong, even if you know you heard it. They may accuse you of having a bad memory, or blame you for being too emotional. These tactics, often called countering, trivializing, withholding, and diverting, all make you second-guess yourself. One common ploy is simple denial, pretending to forget events or blaming their own behavior on you. As one survivor's friend recounted, after finding proof of her boyfriend's cheating, he yelled at her and insisted she was at fault for not trusting him. He made her feel like a bad girlfriend, even tearing up her things. It took years and a healthier relationship before she realized what she experienced was not right. Gaslighting rarely stands alone. Psychologist Ann Robson explains that love bombing, gaslighting, and trauma bonding often belong to the same abusive continuum. In practice, a partner may alternate praise with putting you down, creating trauma bonds. The victim clings to those rare moments of kindness, hoping the relationship will return to normal. This cycle of highs and lows deepens your confusion. You're grateful for the love one day and terrified of the next. Abusers use your expectations against you. A new study shows that gaslighting exploits how our brains predict and trust. Because we expect loved ones to act consistently, their sudden, contradictory behavior causes you to update your mental model of reality, but they frame your perception as the problem, not their cruelty. The result is cognitive dissonance. You hold two conflicting beliefs and tear yourself apart trying to reconcile them. You ask, was he really so kind, or was I imagining it? Was I wrong about what I saw, or is something wrong with me? As psychologists note, gaslighting by narcissists creates deep cognitive dissonance. The whispered "you're too sensitive" and "you have memory problems" leave you paralyzed by self-doubt and second-guessing. Many gaslighters fit the profile of narcissistic abuse. Narcissists are experts at projection and blame shifting. They often weave a story of themselves as the victim, for example, painting their ex as a psycho to hook you, then punish you for being ungrateful or crazy. Psychologists explain that narcissists don't deal well with losing power or criticism, so they gaslight to dominate. One therapist calls this pattern the gaslight tango, a malicious dance of power and truth where the gaslighter leads and you follow. To illustrate, consider these survivors, names changed. Emily confronted her boyfriend after discovering he had cheated. He exploded, accusing her of mistrust, calling her paranoid. "You don't know what you're talking about," he screamed. In shock, Emily curled in a corner as he destroyed her things, repeatedly telling her it was her fault for not trusting him. Years later, only in a healthy relationship did she realize it was never her fault. Another example, Sarah was a dedicated project manager. Her boss repeatedly praised her work, then one day scolded her for missing a deadline she knew she had met. He insisted his email had the wrong timestamp, and that she must have deleted his reminder. Weeks of such interactions left Sarah questioning every task. Finally, she documented her communications. Confronting him with the evidence, he sneered, "That email never came in. Maybe you're to blame." Only after talking to co-workers did Sarah see she was being manipulated. This workplace gaslighting, co-workers calling you oversensitive and a manager denying your records, is all too real. Gaslighting doesn't stop in romantic or work relationships. It can come from parents or family too. Psychologist Julie Lythcott-Hames describes how a child's reality is shattered by a lying parent. Take the story of Renee, who was promised a car for passing her driving test. After she succeeded, her dad outright denied the promise, claiming she misheard. "No, I didn't say that. You hear what you want," he told her. He made Renee feel like her very memories were unreliable. Children like Renee are taught not to trust their senses or memory, By the time they grow up, they often feel insecure about their own abilities and doubt themselves at every turn. In fact, persistent parental gaslighting has long-term effects. It undermines a child's confidence and self-trust, leading to anxiety, underachievement, and overdependence on others. These are just glimpses of real pain. Each story shows a pattern. The abuser erodes trust and reality until the victim clings to any scrap of certainty, often blaming themselves. Why is gaslighting so uniquely cruel? Because it attacks the core of who you are, your memory, your sanity, your trust in yourself. Studies suggest that gaslighting isn't just mean behavior, it rewires the victim's brain. Researchers explain that gaslighting hijacks the brain's prediction errors. When someone you trust surprises you with lies, your brain learns, incorrectly, that your own perceptions are faulty. In other words, your brain's natural learning is twisted against you. Over time, this brain training gone wrong causes you to deeply distrust your own senses. Our memories are never perfect recordings, they're reconstructed fragments. Gaslighters exploit this. A neuroscientist notes, when we remember the past, we just remember the gist, so we can manipulate the details. They can insist it was a red car, not blue, until you start to believe it. You're left puzzled when your mind insists, no, I was there, it was blue, but everyone else denies it. This manipulation rewires your sense of reality. The psychological toll is profound. Victims often report feeling constantly on edge, anxious, and disoriented. Medical experts note that people experiencing gaslighting feel confused, are unable to do anything right, and begin to defend the abuser's actions. They fear they have a mental illness. Trust erodes not just in others, but in themselves. Imagine waking up one day and thinking, am I crazy? Did that really happen? How can I trust my own mind? Trust is shattered at every level: personal trust, memory trust, even trust in relationships. Because gaslighting often happens in close bonds, romantic, family, or work, the betrayal cuts deeper. You thought you could rely on this person, so when they deny your reality, it feels earth-shaking. Over time, gaslighting can lead to chronic anxiety, depression, PTSD-like symptoms, and even physical health issues from stress. Cognitively, victims enter a strange twilight zone. They experience persistent cognitive dissonance, living with two incompatible realities. One day your partner is loving, the next, he calls you unstable. One day a project is on track, the next, your boss claims you derailed it. Sherry Gabba, a psychotherapist, notes that in these relationships, the result is a sense of deep and profound confusion, where you can't tell if the loving person or the cold abuser is real. This constant mental tug-of-war makes you question every decision, every memory. Eventually, victims often unwittingly side with the abuser's version of events just to find peace, further entrenching self-doubt. Gaslighting hides in many places. In romantic relationships, it might start subtly. A lover insists you're imagining things he says or does. Over time, criticism and blame become constant. And Robson notes that by the time clients see her, gaslighting is often already constant, taking over the victim's sense of reality. Victims might find themselves apologizing for the abuser's actions or doubting their decisions, trapped in a trauma bond. In the workplace, gaslighters also lurk. Picture a boss who publicly questions your memory, saying you really said you finished that report? When you did. The Better Up Guide on Workplace Gaslighting explains, a common tactic is to blame victims for actions or to accuse them of being too sensitive about criticism. Perhaps a co-worker spreads rumors about you while claiming it's all in your head. Over time, work can feel like walking on eggshells, or even making you feel like an imposter in your own job. In one documented example, a manager denied receiving a deliverable you just handed in again and again, until you start doubting your competence. Even in families, gaslighting can fester. We saw parents convincing children they just imagined promises or even abuse. Gaslighting family members might rewrite childhood memories. You were always bad at math, remember? Or I never said that to you. The result? Children grow up insecure and mistrusting of themselves. Abuse in families can be especially hidden. After all, we're taught to trust our parents. The sinister truth is that gaslighting can appear anywhere there is a power imbalance. In friendships, political discourse, even in medical settings, dismissing patients' symptoms as all in your head. If someone in your life consistently makes you feel crazy or incompetent, it's gaslighting no matter the context. Recognizing gaslighting is the first step to taking back your life. Here are steps survivors use to break the spell. Notice the pattern. Pay attention when someone consistently denies what you remember or blames you for their actions. Keep a written journal of conversations and events. If your partner insists you forgot conversations or your boss denies emails you have, these are red flags. Document everything. Evidence can ground you. Save texts, emails, photos, anything that contradicts the gaslighter's narrative. Medical News Today advises finding ways to document events as a protective measure. This builds a reality check for you. Seek external perspectives. Talk to trusted friends, family, or a therapist about what's happening. Often, hearing someone else validate your memory or feelings helps break the dissonance. It's important to know that even professionals are on your side. Set boundaries and plan safety. In cases of severe abuse, create a safety plan. As trauma experts advise, gather important documents, set aside emergency funds, and identify people who can help you leave safely. A clear exit strategy can reduce fear and give you confidence. Build a support network. Join support groups or counseling for survivors of narcissistic abuse or emotional abuse. These communities offer understanding and strategies for recovery. Therapy, especially trauma-informed or cognitive behavioral therapy, is a powerful resource to untangle the trauma bond. Before we continue, if any of this feels familiar, know you're not alone. Subscribe for more insights and stories, because no one deserves to face gaslighting in silence. Your reality matters. Recovery is a journey. As the trauma bonding experts emphasize, healing is a process that takes time. It involves relearning to trust yourself. Practice self-care and compassion. Mindfulness or journaling can reconnect you with your own feelings. Celebrate small victories, trusting one memory without second-guessing, asserting a boundary, finding clarity on what happened. Surround yourself with people who believe you. Remember, gaslighters are often plagued by insecurity themselves. Their lies say nothing about your worth. Professionals agree, therapy and support groups are crucial. CPTSD Foundation notes that therapy can help to weaken and eventually break trauma bonds, and peers can provide encouragement and information. Step by step, you can rebuild trust in yourself. Each time you validate your own memory, yes, that did happen, you reclaim a bit of power. If you're listening and still feeling tangled in doubt, hear this: your instincts are powerful. They know the truth even if your abuser denies it. One survivor's message to you: your reality is not up for debate. Your instincts are a powerful tool, they could be what saves you. When the whispers tell you maybe it is all in your head, remember, it's not your fault. Gaslighting teaches victims to feel flawed for having valid feelings, but feeling bad about it doesn't make it your fault. You deserve to trust yourself. You deserve relationships without manipulation. It's hard to believe, but help and healing are possible. As psychologist Robin Stern says, gaslighting is a systematic attempt to erode reality, but it can be overcome. With awareness, documentation, and support, the fog lifts. Survivors often look back in awe at their own strength. You can too. Gaslighting was never about you, it was about power. You do not need to carry that burden of blame. It's time to switch off the gaslight. Reclaim your story. Every step you take away from the abuser's narrative is a step back to your truth. You are strong, you are sane, and you will rebuild. You are not alone, and it is not your fault. Trust yourself, your feelings, your memories, your instincts, because they are valid. The flicker of those lights will steady, and you'll feel the fear finally fade. Keep going forward. You deserve the truth of your reality, and with courage and support, you will have it. Take heart. The same light that helped gaslighters blind you to the truth is the light you will use to find your freedom. If this was useful, like and share to help someone else see what was happening to them. Subscribe for more evidence-based deep dives into the mind and recovery. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, contact local emergency services or a trusted professional right away.
She's not